Hi everybody, welcome to episode 16 of the Teesside Business Podcast. Today we've got John Beamson from Robustours in to speak with us. John, thanks very much for coming on.
Thanks for having us. Thanks for having us down.
So if you will start straight away, if you want to tell us firstly a little about yourself and your career history that led to you obviously founding Robustours.
So originally from Bishop Auckland, from a proper working class background. My dad was a lorry driver, my mum worked as a receptionist in the NHS. Sort of did the school thing, didn't come out with the best of grades, but I always knew that I was joining the army because my granddad was in the army and we'd had a sort of successive people in the Beamson family. Didn't quite go to plan, bit of early adversity, wasn't fit enough, bit overweight, blah blah blah. 2 years later I managed to join up. I ended up joining the Royal Artillery. Lived in Germany for 4 years. Just volunteered for my mindset was I've joined the army to do what you're supposed to do in Canada, Kenya. Went all over. Anything that was going, I did. We did the fireman strikes back in the day. Drive around in the Green Goddesses.
Yeah.
We were based up in Newcastle. We also did Northern Ireland. We sort of closed down the last of the sort of barracks in Northern Ireland. Then I sort of came back, jumped into a UK-based unit based at Catterick Garrison, and then obviously that was sort of 2005, 2006, and that's when things really picked up with sort of Iraq and Afghanistan. Did Iraq, did like a 3 months in Iraq, and then did two pretty much back-to-back Afghans where the whole robust concept was really born because that was a place really that needed you to be robust.
Yeah.
Sort of came back off my second tour and was a bit broken really. Not physically broken, but mentally a bit beaten up with it all. It was both tours back to back were hard for me, hard on the relationship. So when I come back, I thought I'm done with the army now.
Yeah.
And there was nothing really offered to. The army never really said, oh, well, if you stay in, we can do this, we can do that. It was like, well, we're just going to keep going to Afghanistan until it's over. So no one can tell you how long it was going to last for. So I thought, well, it's over for me now.
Okay.
So off we went. And then sort of left and had that weird transitional period with a lot of ex-service soldiers and Navy and RAF sort of blokes do, where you kind of just crash into Civvy Street.
Yeah. And
you've got all these skills, or you think you've got all these skills, and people tell you, oh, you've got all these transferable skills, and all these sort of great buzzwords get used, and then you kind of figure out, oh, actually, it's not really as transferable.
Was it a hard transition to go
from
back into
Civvy? It was a hard transition. It's a hard transition in the respect you go from something that's been so routine and so regimented, and everything's you sort of led to a point, and then you're sort of like, yeah, okay.
Got lots of structure versus
zero structure. And I've always been in sort of an environment where you're just told how it is all the time. There is no sort of shadiness or deception or anything like that. Like if you're not good, you get told on the spot. You're not cutting the mustard. And I think what I sort of found when I got out was a lot of people were saying, "Oh yeah, you're doing good here, blah blah blah," and then it was like, "We don't want you anymore." It's like, well, hang on a minute. I thought you said I was all right.
Yeah.
Well, we don't, and I sort of crashed around a few jobs and learned things the hard way. And then I thought to myself, like, what am I doing now with sort of the way it was going? Because I only ever had a job, and I always thought I should be doing more than this. I've only just got a job here. I'm not really doing anything. And then sort of getting on the drink, sort of losing myself and all that sort of culture.
Yeah.
Stopped sort of training, put a bit of weight on. And then a friend of mine, a lad called Lee Gibson, who's from Middlesbrough, has an organisation called Truckers A Run on Facebook.
Okay.
And it's about being an active sort of trucker and not forming into stereotypes.
Yeah, the classic sitting behind truck stops sort of thing.
Lee had said, oh, we've got a National Three Peaks running, John. Someone's dropped out. Do you want to jump on it? And I thought, go on then. I'll go with that. So I kind of went on it, not fit at all, but the old mindset of just get it done sort of took over, and I sort of struggled through. And then I met the guy who led us. I was like, what do you do for a living, mate? He's like, I do this. And I was like, you do this, like this is a job, this is a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a qualified mountain leader. And I was like, do you know, it was almost like you have a moment where you just, when the clarity just bangs through.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, right. And he's probably said this 1,000 times. Oh, I'll give you, can I give you a ring next week? He's probably said that 1,000 times about people.
Probably.
But then I rang him and I said like, oh, how do I this, that and the other? And he was like, oh, well, you do this, this and this. And I was like, oh, cool. And then I just started on it. I just signed up and I thought, right, I was doing like I went on like a 4-on-4 shift pattern. So sort of reduced the amount of money I was earning, but then I freed up a lot more time.
Yeah.
So I've got sort of, what I think is wrong with people at the moment is they want it, but they just don't want to work for it.
Yeah.
Or they're not prepared to sacrifice to get where they want to be.
Yeah.
So like long-term game, I was like, all right, if I just cut my hours, I can free up and go and do what I want to do. And then all that other stuff, it's not really that important, will come later down the line. So I went on that sort of trip and then just started going on sort of navigation courses, learning from more experienced sort of guys than me, listening, and sort of just going out all the time. Like every sort of free moment I was either in the lakes, North Wales or up in Scotland, just cutting my teeth, just practicing. And I did a lot of navigation and a lot of sort of training here in the North Yorkshire Moors, because for me, I love the moors, and I think we're lucky here in Teesside.
It's beautiful, really. Like you don't realise, like I've seen some of the photos, obviously, that you share and things like that, is that I think sometimes you can be a bit desensitised to it because you grow up with it, but then you realise, you know, like, oh my God, like this is incredible, like landscape and stuff.
I mean, just gone there the weekend, we were up at Robustours, and on a Saturday was a nice day. It's stunning up there on a nice day. There's, you know, you see across sort of Teesside, and then if you look behind you, it's sort of the moors, but the whole coastline, the Staves, the Robustours Bays, Whitby, it's all steeped in history. It's all got so much history about it. And then there's so many long distance trails, and that's sort of what I got into, my passion. I love doing like the Cleveland Way. I love doing Esk Valley, Tabular Hills, all these sort of long distance trails, which sort of take you through different ways through the moors. But you know, even though I've done these routes a lot of times, I've never thought of thinking to myself, this place again. Like, Staves for me is, it's
always new every time.
It just blows me away every time. It's almost like it hasn't changed in its entire history.
Yeah.
I just don't think it probably has.
No.
It's just so quirky, and every time I bring sort of new people from out of the area, and I say, you're in for, you know, when we sort of coming along the cliffs there and we drop into Staves, and I just say, you're in for a real treat here. And there's people are blown away.
Yeah, I imagine.
People are blown away by its beauty. And then, you know, you get people, I didn't even know this was here. And even people who live in this area, when you get them away, and they're like, oh, I didn't even know this was here.
I know.
I've never seen this.
Yeah.
So it's good just to get out, isn't it? And then obviously went and did my mountain leader assessment, and I qualified in March time, and that was down in North Wales. And I used you can only learn, I suppose, from very good people, and I had an excellent teacher in a guy called Paul Poole. And coming from sort of a military background, I've had a lot of really great instructors.
Yeah.
And like I put Paul right up there, like with the sort of top instructors, because
it's a great advertisement for him if he's listening. She'll have to tag him in so he knows.
Yeah, so if anyone was sort of going that way, definitely give him a search. But yeah, that's sort of how we got going.
So, obviously, you mentioned there a big part of your early career, etc., was with the army.
Yeah.
Do you think it was a useful time? Because obviously you see a lot of people who come out of the army, either they can't quite get back into civvy life, or finding a job's not quite right for them, and a lot of them end up starting their own businesses. It's quite a common thing. Do you think that the army gives you like sets of skills and abilities that transfer over well for you to start in your own business?
They make you accountable.
Yeah.
There's certainly that factor. All the guys who I know who have their own businesses now, we all have the same pattern. You know, like if I get up on a morning at 4 and I sort of think, oh, I'll just have a look and see what's happening.
Yeah.
There's some of them already on.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you just know that they're at it all the time.
Yeah.
And that comes from a military background. That comes from the sort of who wants to succeed in life sort of thing.
Yeah.
And nothing's given, is it?
No.
And I think that's the best way, really, because it makes me more driven to succeed. So yeah, the army does give you some good transferable skills, but on the same hand as well, I do feel that the MOD isn't doing enough for lads who are leaving.
Is there I'm not educated on the subject, so is there any kind of program or system where to help you transition back into civvy life, or is it basically just you leave and they just say see you later?
After, it comes down to time served, really. So like say you did your full service 22 years, you sort of leave with a resettlement package where they'll put you on a course, or they'll send you to CV writers, or you can go and interview technique skills and all that sort of stuff. But that's still happening whilst you're in the army.
Yeah.
So you've still got that regular salary, and then you're learning these new skills. The problem happens is the day you leave, the support network, barring being from sort of charitable organisations and people's goodwill, isn't really there, and that's where you see sort of the issues with sort of the PTSDs and people sort of taking their own lives, because some people do find it really hard to transition, and then unfortunately they feel like the only way out of it is unfortunately to take their own lives. And I do sort of feel that the MOD kind of just thinks, oh well, off you go. But there must be something that all them veterans can do. You can't have such a big, massive skill as they've all got. There must be someone could look at something and say, what could we do with all these sort of ex-veterans getting out? And is there anything that they could do for us?
It must be kind of just this. Well, for a start, the debt that they have to society, regardless of obviously we don't talk about politics on the podcast, but a lot of the yourself and have served for your country. You know what I mean? And it is such a horrible thing. But the skills that they have must be obviously there's so many different kind of skill sets that people get through in the army, not just obviously soldiering, but obviously there's so much else as well. People learn to be either mechanics or they work on computers, or there's so much. As somebody who's been through it, if we had a magic wand, obviously we don't, and I know there is a lot of bureaucracy, etc. in it, but what do you think would be a good starting point for them to move on to start to help people?
I think we've got a lot of a generation now where they need a bit of structure, they need a bit of discipline. Yeah. And I think if every sort of region had a centre, not just outdoor centre, but a centre where people could come and listen to people and sort of get life skills and sort of learn about accountability. And I think that would be good. So you could probably have a centre where there's adventure training involved, and then there's sort of life skills and life coaches coming in. Yeah. And it could all be ex-military guys and sort of backed up with competent sort of civilian counterparts. Yeah. And you could get people who maybe gone astray in the old crime system, sort of keep them from swerving too far gone, and then you can sort of get charitable groups in the community involved, and you can just bring it all in together. Do you know what I mean? And you can give people purpose, because once you lose purpose, you're on the way down.
I suppose that's a massive part of it as well. That when you have such a purpose, and everybody you're surrounded with, I imagine, when you're in the army, has the same goal, the same purpose. It's not a case of everybody gets done what they have to get done, because you're all working towards the same goal. Yeah. And there is that accountability. If you don't do this, there are ramifications for it. It's not I'll do it tomorrow or whatever, but when they leave the army, maybe that they don't have it's sitting this thing where especially if you've been in for a long period of time, your goals being obviously the betterment of the army, but when you're kind of on your own, finding yourself a goal for something must be.
It's now for me, I live and breathe Robustours. I absolutely 100% live and breathe it. So that is it now. My sights are now just tunnel vision focused, and I'm on now. So that's got me back online. The amount of people who I see on social media who it's almost a trend. I can't wait for Friday. I'm going to get drunk. I'm going to Saturday.
Living the
blah
week for
blah
Friday.
blah. And then Sunday, from like Sunday after lunchtime, I hate Monday. I hate Monday.
Yeah.
Like, I don't hate Monday. I don't love Friday. I don't hate Tuesday.
Yeah.
Every day is an opportunity where I might meet someone like yourself or might meet somebody else, and there's no reason why anyone can't have that.
No.
The decisions that you make, you see, a lot of people think happiness is found at the bottom of a bottle of lager.
Yeah.
But that's just short-term happiness.
Yeah.
That's just short-term escapism.
Yeah.
Because I think that's why so many people go out and get absolutely wasted, because they're not living a full life where they think, you know, I'm going to go and get so drunk that it doesn't matter what's happening in my world for that 6-7 hour period.
Yeah.
None of that matters.
Yeah, it's like escapism for them.
And then the consequences of that is when they wake up on the next day and they've got a shocking hangover, which, and then I think that euphoria of being up high is almost tripled, because you wake up, you feel terrible, you think, oh, I've got to do this and I've got to do that, and oh God, and this, that and t'other, and I'm not trying to say people should go teetotal. I mean, I don't sort of drink anymore now, but I don't now miss drinking.
Yeah.
Because I've filled myself with that much now. Like, I say this now on to people, are you looking forward to the weekend? We're going on an adventure.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I describe what I do now. I sell adventure.
Yeah.
I don't sell walking.
Yeah.
Because we walk around the town.
Yeah.
I don't sell that. That's not
No.
what you come with me for. We're going on an adventure, and who knows where it could end up.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
It is like that now. So that's what I think.
So tell us a bit about exactly then what Robustours does. I know that you've got a great presence on social and stuff like that.
Yeah.
A lot of people listening and will have seen it. I know you're active on our page that we're really great for. So what is it exactly that Robustours does? You sell adventure. What does that mean?
So I believe we've all got a little bit lazy and we've all got a little bit comfortable in our own skin. And what I'm trying to say to people is it's okay to be uncomfortable, because it builds a resistance to life.
Yeah.
Because life itself can be uncomfortable and it can't always go your own way.
Yeah.
And sometimes, unfortunately, you have to hurt and you have to suffer.
Yeah.
But the more robust you are, the more likely you are of dealing with that.
Yeah.
So that comes from either being physically fitter or having a support network around you. So the sort of people who come out with me now, once you come out with me, you become part of the empire.
Yep.
So you become part of my sort of circle. And then sort of people who have come out have become friends with other people, and they're having it. Then they're sort of meeting other people and going off and having adventures.
Yeah.
And it just grows. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it becomes a community.
It becomes a community, and it gets people away from, like, social media and the internet. It's fantastic, and obviously I'm on it quite a bit, but I think we get too bogged down in it.
Yeah.
And in a way, sometimes it can depress us, because we see everyone else around us living these great lives.
Yeah.
But no one's ever posted on Instagram £2.50 in the bank.
Yeah.
No one's ever done that.
No.
So, like, I'm trying to say to people, come with me, have an adventure, and just learn to be a bit more robust.
Yeah.
And then you will have a different outlook on life.
Yeah.
When I first started, I wanted it to be like the most ridiculously hard thing going.
Yeah.
And then I quickly realised there isn't actually that many people who can do that.
Yeah.
So I still have them sort of uber hard events.
Yeah.
But I've created sort of entry levels of robustness.
Yeah.
So every month I offer like a free social. So it's just to come and meet up. We still might cover, say, anywhere from, say, 10 to 20 miles, depending on the ground. But it's more of a social to get to know each other and sort of feel comfortable, because I think people are struggling to come and meet new people.
It's that first step, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the first step. And as a people, we are a pack animal, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely.
So we are a social beast. So I've had people who have sort of been on the fringes looking at it and thinking, I want to go, but none of my friends go walking and my husband doesn't go, and is it a bit intimidating, you know, should I go? End of the day, it is going to have to be your first time one time.
Yeah.
You are going to have to turn up in the car park and say, hiya, my name's so-and-so.
Everyone's a beginner once.
Everyone's got that. But honestly, I do my utmost best to make every single person feel welcome, and I throw my own slant on it. And so that's what I've gone for with it. The idea is to get someone from, say, point A all the way through. So they're like, oh, well, I started on doing the sort of 10 milers, and now I'm doing the Lake Three Peaks. Now I'm doing the sort of 50-mile speed marches, and I'm really there now.
There's obviously, there's a load of benefits to it. Like, for a start, being physically fit. I think a lot of people don't realise, you just say, oh, you're walking from A to B, but, for those kind of distances, you require, like, a really decent level of fitness. I've got a friend, Neil, who loves walking and stuff like that, and he went with a friend who was in the army, actually. And he just turned up with a pair of trainers and a pair of shorts. He didn't realise exactly how tough it was going to be. So, but there's also a thing that, being outdoors and getting back, like, obviously, that we're very lucky that we've got so many stunning views and stuff, but getting back out in nature and things like that is something that...
Yeah, if we roll it back to caveman times, we used to always be in nature.
Yeah.
So we have got an affinity, I think, to being back in the wild.
Yeah.
And I love it, me. I love just going back to me and my kit versus nature. And it's good for the mind as well, do you know what I mean? It's sort of seeing beautiful scenery and socialising. I think it's good. It brings you on a social level as well. It brings people out, takes away maybe them anxieties they've got as well. So I think there's definitely sort of long-term benefits for both mind, body and soul, really.
Absolutely. To getting out there and getting out. Which again, it's not something that we do generally. We spend a lot of times in, even here in the northeast, like small towns and cities, etc. We don't, one of my favourite things to do, and Ricky, who produced the podcast as well, is when walk my dog, I never have my phone or anything on me. Even if it's just round the park, you wouldn't believe how mental clarity it gives you. Like so for there's a lot of benefits with mental health and stuff that I won't really go into because I'm not qualified to really speak. If anybody's listening, by the way, I would love to have somebody on to speak about it, especially in relation to business. So speaking of business and things like you've... one of the things that we like doing on the podcast is letting other people have an insight. And a lot of people who do watch the podcast are in the very early stages of their business, where they're thinking about starting one, or they've just started one, and a lot of people are now... and fantastically so, building businesses around their passions. I.e., we had a great one who did it around crafts. We had like called Mark, who did it around the hospitality industry, and yourself around walking. What kind of is there anything that since you started up you wish you'd done differently? Were there any challenges that you would like, that you've wish you could kind of done a little bit differently? Or
I think a big one for me is I've fallen back to what I know. So there's a great sort of community, Veteran Owned UK. So that's a great organisation where it's been started, and basically anyone who's a veteran who's got a business, we're all in this sort of central hub, and we all sort of like and share each other's pages, and we all support each other. So as well, it gets the algorithms moving as well, because there's constant sort of liking and sharing and mutual beneficial. So I've sort of done loads of networking in there, and don't be afraid to think, oh well, they're in my sort of field, so I'm just going to completely pretend that they don't exist. Because that shuts doors.
Absolutely.
Find a way to work with people who, even if they sort of maybe do kind of what you do. Like I'll sort of give you an example. There's a guy over in Penrith who's got an outdoor company like me, like he's a mountain leader like I am, but he sort of more offers sort of the rock climbing and the mountain biking sort of aspect. So I said to him, look, I don't do mountain biking and rock climbing, and to be honest with you, I probably won't because it's not my thing. But I tell you what, he's just starting out. And I said, have you got a webpage? And he said, oh no, well, I'm just starting out and I have money. And I said, tell you what I'll do. I'm going to create something called the Robustours family. I'm going to have a link on my webpage. Do us a blog of who you are, what you you offer. Send us your links for social media, and I'll bang you on my webpage.
Oh, fantastic!
And he was like, "You put me on your webpage?" I said, "Yeah." And he was like, "Oh, thanks very much. That's great of you." And I've done it as well with other people, other guys who sort of offer wild camping and sort of survival skills. I've said, hey, go and check these guys out. They're doing brilliant stuff. And what's happened is they've gone, oh, go and check John out. He's doing long distance hiking and long trails. And now we're all sort of passing each other business in a way. And everyone's sort of really communicating, and I think that's
phenomenal.
Yeah, you can be in the same field and stood at the other end of the pitch. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if someone approached me and said, "Hi, John, I'm going to do a long distance hiking business," I might be like, "All the best with it, mate."
Yeah.
Because we're too similar.
Yeah.
But
with other things in the same field, there is like
but
crossover
there is room for play, isn't there? So we've sort of done that in the veteran community. So that's good. But I would say to people, don't sort of be a protectionist. Do you know what I mean? Don't. Because I think there's no good of that now. The world seems to be sort of trying to close in on itself.
Well, it should be opening up. And it's one of the things that we want to promote, obviously, with the podcast, and we do promo Mondays and things like that, is that we do want people to start, because there is a brilliant community of people, business owners, and we're very thankful on the podcast that we've got everybody coming on from someone who literally just started up yesterday all the way through. People who've been in business for a long time.
I mean, I found your friend, another photographer lady.
You did, Jetta. Jetta. Who's a fantastic photographer. Who, she commented on, it was great that people have passed business and stuff, and other people have got business just from simply just sharing and things like that of, this is what we do, and it's great to kind of build a community. So you kind of mentioned before about obviously it's robust is kind of obviously people being robust, etc. The company is very, very much founded in hard work.
Yeah.
There's a lot that is talked about on social media and business. We've talked about this on other podcasts about, the 4-hour work week, etc. and stuff like that. Yeah. Which is great, and it's what people do. But there does seem to be like a bit of a gap where people kind of say, look, like if you want to start your own business, like it is ridiculously hard work. Like, did the army set you up well for that? Or
no, not at all. No, not at all. I haven't asked the army or the MOD or any of the charities for money. Now I can't say any. Maybe some other people have and they've had more success of it, but I sort of had a point about a year and a half ago where I asked an organisation to help fund me to do my minibus license.
Yeah.
Because I thought, well, it'll go well.
Yeah.
And it kind of got backhailed, and I thought to myself, oh, okay, I'll tell you what, from now on, I ain't going with my cap out again.
Yeah.
So everything that I've done is self-funded. Do you know what I mean? And that's sort of the route that I'm sort of going to go down now. Because there's one thing that I don't like going to people and saying, oh, I've got this, that and t'other, and will you help me? I've sort of got the mindset of, I'm going to make this happen. Yeah. If that means I ain't going on holiday this year, then I ain't going on holiday this year. And if I don't go next year, then I ain't going next year either.
Yeah.
Because if you truly want it to happen, it'll happen.
Oh yeah.
I listen to a lot of podcasts actually, and one thing I'd recommend people who are starting out in business is, if you don't know who Gary Vaynerchuk is, I suggest
a few guests have talked about him. Obviously,
I suggest you go and listen to a few of his podcasts because the guy he tells it how it is, and and if you don't like the hard truths, then it ain't the business to be in.
It's it is a great thing. It's something that I've said on other podcasts, and I'll probably say on every single one to make the bloke immortal. But my dad always said that anything worth having will always be hard work.
Hard work, yeah.
And it's something that really kind of shapes
like
how we've done stuff like that. But I think that everything's got a price. Some people do not have it easy because everything's relative, but where the price that they have to pay to be successful might be less than yours. Some people have to work ridiculously hard or twice as hard to get the same level of success as one person. But unfortunately, that's what happens like within business. That's the universe's law, not ours.
Yeah, that's. I don't want to be the world's richest man.
No.
I just want to be the second richest man. No, do you know what? I just want to earn enough and be happy.
Yeah.
And I want to get people off the couch and off the sofa and out and being more active and more healthy, because the long term benefits for their life, not just their life. When you're happy, the person who's next to you is happy.
Yeah.
And there's a growing
it spreads outwards, doesn't it? Yeah.
It spreads outwards.
It's one of the things that we again talked about that I really want everybody's like opinion on, because there is this thing of like, to be successful in business, you need private jets and diamonds and whatever else. But I think there's a lot to be said for actually knowing what you want and how it's going to make you happy. Like going back to Mark, who's got a great company called Boostly, who was on a previous podcast.
Yeah.
He very much kind of knew how he was going to set up his business, so it gave him what he wanted, but also the flexibility to have time, spend time with his family, you know. And it's like, I think a lot of people realise that that's what they actually want. And if they try and have, you know, a multi-million-dollar empire, for example, it would probably make them miserable.
Yeah.
Where what a lot of people want to do is, well, I only want to work 20 hours a week and then play golf because I absolutely love golf.
Yeah, it's fair
you know,
play,
or
isn't it?
whatever, you know. So I think that there's a lot to be said for being setting yourself up to.
And I think as well, you rely, when you start off, you rely on your friends, and what you've got to be careful. And I've sort of drawn a line in the sand in this now, is you want to get away from the word free.
Yeah.
Because your skills, what you offer, aren't free.
Yeah.
So it's a fine line between saying, like for me, sometimes people have sort of thought I was like the personal mountain leader, where they could just sort of ring me and say, oh, we're thinking about doing this, what do you reckon? And I'd be like, you can't phone a plumber and say, oh, by the way, this, that and t'other. So you have to sort of set your ground rules like early.
Yeah.
And I've sort of said, look, guys, I am a business, and I do offer one free hike a month.
Yeah.
So if you just want to come on the free one, brilliant. We'll have a cracking time. But that's certainly, because you rely on your friends to sort of like and share.
Of course.
Because that's how you grow, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, the support.
You need to sort of spread that, and that's a good point. And then another thing which I sort of did is I've created this thing now called the Robust Empire, where I have other people who are relevant to sort of hiking, fitness, social media, web pages, and so my net becomes joined with their net.
Yeah, of course.
So if I'm doing well and they're liking and sharing my stuff, then I'm liking and sharing their stuff. So I've had people say to me like, oh, I'd love to come out, but I'm really unfit and and I'll say, oh well, there's a girl on my page. She's a personal trainer. She can give you knowledge about sort of training programs and nutrition, and oh, okay, right. And then sort of the new guys who were coming into it said to me, oh, I could do it with a web page. And I'm like, well, the guy who made mine is on my web page.
Yeah.
The link for his business is there.
Yeah.
Oh, right, cool. I like your web page.
Yeah.
And then it's
that
just sending it back, isn't it? And that's what it's about, really.
There's a lot to be said for it. You know, we talk a lot about networking and things like that, but it is great to have kind of, and I think there is like a great community of business in Teesside. Like we recently covered the Tees Valley Business show, and it was an amazing event. But one of the things that really blew me away that I wasn't really expecting was how the community on like Twitter, how much like all the local businesses were interacting with each other and the people there, and there was a real community of people so happy for other people to do well.
That's good, isn't it?
It is, and it's something that we're seeing more and more the more we do the podcast and the more we speak to other people, how everybody really wants other people to succeed. They want everybody to win. And it is the difference that I find that the people who are doing really well and who grow successful businesses and things like that, like, don't get me wrong, they're competitive and they want to do very well, but they will help other people. The other people who are down here who don't want anybody and who've got like snide things to say about other people never do very well.
No.
They never really kind of get past that first stage because they don't want to help other people.
No.
You know, so it's a bit of a shame, really.
Yeah, I think that's the protectionism, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Yeah, and, going back to exactly what you were saying before.
I don't think in the way 2018, you know, if you don't like social media, I'm sorry, that's tough, because it's not going to go away.
No.
And you either adapt with it and roll with it, or it's going to crush you, because you just can't.
So how have you found, obviously, like one of the great ways that, I know you're very active on social media, you have adopted your business, how do you go about it?
I launched on the sort of 1st of April. I already had a logo in place. And I had an old sort of group where I sort of did all my test runs on it. So I sort of had a good platform, and then I sort of just launched it. But I was sort of a bit terrible at social media at first. Like, I didn't really understand the @ and the hashtags.
Yep.
So I went to a company in Dalton called Harvey & Hugo, which are a PR and social media company. Mm-hmm. And they sort of like had a few sort of free seminars on. And I went to a few free seminars and I thought, God, I've learnt loads here. Like, there's more to this than I thought.
Yeah.
And then I was impressed with how they sort of operated, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to pay them to run a campaign for me for a month.
Yeah.
So I just basically handed them my social media, and then I just watched and wrote hints and tips for myself and thought, that's great.
Used it
That's
as a blueprint.
Great. That's great. And they've been fantastic. Now, they were the painters, but I had to give them the paint.
Yeah.
So I went off like a lunatic. I managed to borrow an artillery gun. I did the thing with the eagle.
Yeah.
And I just was constantly bombarding them saying, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? And they ran with it, but they did an amazing job. And I've just sort of watched them now, and I'm thinking, and what you learn by that is you learn when your target audience is active.
Yep.
So there's no point in posting if your audience isn't awake, because they'll never see it. And the way obviously Facebook and Instagram work is it'll just fall down and fall down and fall down, and it'll be gone.
Yep.
So that month showed me, all right, my audience is active from 6 till 8.
Yeah.
From 11:30 till 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then from 8 till 10 at night.
Yeah.
So pretty much them other dead spaces, don't waste your time in posting, and just sort of reply to people as and when.
Yeah.
In them sort of time periods, and then leave your good stuff to at the time your audience is going to pick it up.
Yeah.
So that's what it taught me, really, the sort of effectiveness of social media.
Like, we were having a bit of a chat before you came in about things that like you want to do in the future and stuff like that. Have you got any kind of plans for Robust in the future, whether it be on social media or events that you guys go to?
For me, I had the privilege of working for Macmillan Cancer on one of their like events, Mighty Hike series up in the Northumberland coast, and they had like 1,500 people. And it was just such a well-organised, well-run event.
Yeah.
I was thinking, this is what I want to be doing. Like, I want to be one of the largest events-based operators within the United Kingdom, no doubt. So let's say that's the 5-year plan.
Yeah.
That's business-wise. Personally, 5 years, I want to be stood on the top of Everest. That's
goal.
personal.
Yeah.
I'm off to Morocco in February.
Yeah.
So that's sort of the first tick of the big mountains.
Yeah.
And then business-wise, year by year, I just want to sort of find my market. And I'm not after... I would rather have 1,000 followers who are active and got it than 50 who just thought, I don't care.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to go and grab loads of followers and then instantly unfollow 30. I don't understand that.
No.
You know, what you're trying to prove that's an ego. When I look at that, I think that's ego based.
Yeah, it's a vanity.
And that vanity is no good. It's for me. I'll quite happily follow 1 million people tomorrow if they're interested enough for me to follow.
Absolutely.
I won't think, oh well, I've got 2,000 people follow me and I follow 3,000. That doesn't look so good, does it? Like, I don't get any of that. So I just want to find my core audience and then just get more and more people out, and then say year 3, I want to sort of be running an event in Yorkshire, an event in the Lakes, an event in Wales. So, and just branch it out.
Yeah.
And like, physically, I won't be able to sort of be on every single event because they are hard. So I'm also trying to look for really good sort of instructors as well to say, well, you run the Wales branch.
Yeah.
And and have an ethos and a platform to work from. And just go from there, really.
Oh, phenomenal. So that kind of segues really nice into... we now ask every guest that comes on the podcast 3 questions.
Yeah, go for it.
So you've probably seen them before.
Yeah.
But for anyone who hasn't seen them, the 3 questions are... The first one is, what does success look like to you? Because again, we've covered it a little bit already, but everybody's different. The second is a failure that you've had that has set you up for a success. That can be anything at all. And the third is... one thing that you are obsessed with at the moment, and that can be anything from I've just bought a new pen or a TV show, or I really love my new hiking boot. That can be anything. Okay. So we'll start with the first one. So what success looks like to you? What would you be able to say, I am a success?
For me, it's when you get endorsements of people who you don't know. When people who you don't know say, I went out with John, it was fantastic. And then you sort of hear about that down the line. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they don't have to, it's not them telling you how good you are. It's vicarious. You find out that they've said, "Oh, I've heard about you because my friend came out and she said it was fantastic and you did this and you did that."
Yeah.
Because then that's natural
It is,
praise. Not, will you write a review for me? I don't like to say to people, "Oh, will you write a review for me?" I have done.
Yeah.
Because your page needs reviews.
Of course,
But yeah, for me, it's when you get praise which wasn't asked for,
Oh,
and it's positive.
That's a really good way to look at it. First time anyone said that.
Yeah.
The second then is, have you ever had a failure that has later either straight away set you up for success or actually it's come years later?
No, sort of in my time in the army, I went to sort of attempt the commando course, 209 commando, to become obviously a commando, but I didn't pass. But that was probably where maybe some of the sort of mindset was sort of bore, because there was instructors down there who I'd never seen that mindset of like, it's going to work, but so what?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like that sort of really great sort of, it's going to be hard, but it's not as hard as when my granddad got off the beaches in Dunkirk. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, putting everything into perspective.
Yeah, yeah.
So even though I failed at that point and was down and thought, oh, I failed, 15 years later, I'm now drawing back to that experience and saying, well, it's hard, but it's not as hard as D-Day.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, you know what I mean?
It's a phenomenal way to look at it. Give you perspective on it.
Yeah. So sometimes when people, like a failure, you might not see it straight away, but there's always some good comes out of failure, isn't there? There's always something that can be learned. So you just got to analyse it and then think, oh, right, okay.
Yeah.
And eventually think, oh, right, I'll go back to that. So, yeah, I think that's what it is for me.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And thirdly, one thing that you're completely obsessed about at the moment. It can be anything at all.
Probably my trip to Morocco, really, in February. Because it's the gateway to the big mountains.
Yeah, it's taking a lot of planning and stuff for you.
I'm not planning it. I've just paid an expert.
Oh, okay. Best way to do it.
I've just said, there's the money. I'll just follow you up the mountain.
Yeah.
You tell me what I need.
Yeah.
And I'll just follow you and do as I'm told.
How long's the trip going to be for?
8 days it is.
8 days.
To Carlisle. So we go, and then it's serious mountaineering. So it is. I kind of want to do one big trip a year.
Yeah.
So I'll probably Kilimanjaro after that.
Yeah, yeah.
So and then aim to sort of do stuff in the Alps and then go for.
Have to make sure that you document it all so we can see how.
I know. Yeah, it's exciting to think, isn't it? Where you can sort of be, but yeah, that's what it is for me. I'm obsessed with my trip to Morocco.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
So, is there anybody that you would like to give a shout out, reach out to, say thank you?
Yeah. Well, first of all,
a bit of promotion.
I'd like to thank you guys, because you guys were sort of the first to pick up on it, and we've done the short podcast and now we've done this. So thanks very much for your support.
Yeah, happy to.
It's been appreciated. Thanks to the whole veteran-owned UK guys, they've been brilliant. Thanks to Paul Million, my personal sort of business mentor. He's been fantastic. Thanks to Charlotte and the Harvey and Hugo team for keeping me on track with the social media. Thanks to my partner, because I think sometimes we say thank you to a lot of people, but we sort of think, well, this is my dream, so it must be your dream.
Yeah.
And, she's sort of the grammar and the sort of, you've spelt this wrong, or
my wife does.
Or this could be better. She's the sort of fine tuner, and she always shows me loads of support. And I know sometimes I'm a bit full on. She's got a full-time job, and I'll fly in saying, I've got an idea.
Yeah.
Get the laptop.
Yeah.
John, I've just been to work all day. Forget that. So thanks to Emma, because she's been fantastic. Thanks to my mum and dad as well. We are where we are because of the people who brought us up, aren't we, at the end of the day? And they're the ones that set us on our journey, like our moral compass. There's a lot of people. So yeah, them's the people. I'm sure there's lots more, and I do thank you all, and I appreciate everyone's input. So that's great.
Where if anybody's looking to come out with you, go on a walk, get started, start to get a little bit fit and healthy, great outdoors, where are the best places for them to contact?
I do my business on Instagram, Robustours, Facebook, Robustours. I'm the only one on there. And then obviously I'll post the links at the end, but I have a webpage.
Yeah, they'll all be posted below in the description.
So I'm on all the platforms. I'm on LinkedIn as well, but I'm more sort of active on Facebook and Instagram over the two. All the sort of information about the events goes on Facebook and the webpage, and then I sort of just use Instagram as like a visual platform. I like going live. There's not too many people going live, and I think that people should do more live videos. Because
I agree. It's something that we're going to do. We're going to do in a couple of weeks, our first live podcast. So it's something that we're all looking at. So thank you so much for coming on the show.
No, it's been brilliant. Thanks very much.
It's great to catch up with you again.
Cheers.
Always learn something. This has been episode 16 of the Teesside Business Podcast. The Teesside Business Podcast is promoted and produced by Person to Person Marketing. Thanks very much for listening. We'll catch you on the next one.
Awesome.